4 more games. What's going to happen? Here's some bold predictions.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black. I'm the editor of Eagle Insider. Happy November, everyone. On today's show, we are going to get into some bold predictions for these final 4 games. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get yourself started. So 4 games left, and Boston College sits at 4-4. They need 2 wins. 2 wins to make a bowl game. 2 wins to basically get what you need to get to the season to be a success. You know, going to a Birmingham Bowl, going to the Military Bowl, is it the most sexy thing that you can get? No. But given where you started, given what your hopes were given the season, making a bowl game is going to be a major indicator of whether the season's a success or a failure, especially when you started off with such a strong start against Florida State. On today's show, I'm going to give you some predictions. What do I think is going to happen over these last 4 games? I'm going to get into all that. And our Eagles Nest Insiders, part of our subtext program, which you can join, gave me some of their predictions as well. I'm going to read off some of the predictions you as the fans came up with and give you my reactions to those in our final segment. You're going to want to hear what some of you guys are thinking, because I think you have some great ideas as well. Now, 2 wins. That's all Boston College gets. All they need to make a bowl game. Would 3 wins and that be nice? Sure. 7-5 would be an amazing end of the season. But my bold prediction, Boston College is going to get 2 more wins. I think they're going to be able to do it. And here's how they're going to do it. I said on episode yesterday that I thought the game against Syracuse is going to be the critical game of the season. And I think it's going to be one of those moments where things click, where BC is able to put things back together in a way that's going to give them enough to win against the Orange at home. I think the Orange are a very talented team. I think Kyle McCord and even like Quentin Allen, their running back, they've got a good offense, but I think the defense will have enough. Whether Cam Arnold is back or not, we don't know what his status is yet. We haven't had any media availability this week. We don't know what Turbo Richard, his availability is yet either. But regardless, I think the team has 2 weeks to plan for Syracuse, and I think that 2 weeks is going to be a major factor for Boston College, as they're going to be ready for this. I think they're going to beat them. The second win, I think, is going to come at home also against UNC. I think BC is a better team than the Tar Heels if they can play at a level that they can. And that's going to be another bold prediction I'm going to give you in a moment. So I think they're going to beat UNC as well. You basically, against the Tar Heels, have to shut down their running game. That's going to be the major key. Their running back is very, very good. Omarion Hampton, he's probably one of the best running backs in the ACC. And it's going to be a challenge. But as I've said, and I will continue to stand on this, UNC is a terrible November team. And, they're playing FSU tomorrow. And I said on yesterday's show that I expect UNC to win. But would it shock me if FSU goes out there and beats UNC? Nope. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. So there's a possibility that their swoon in November starts then. Then if you were to ask me to rank who, like between SMU and Pitt, who I think BC has a better chance of beating, I would say Pitt. Though their defense scares me with the way that Tommy can make mistakes at times. So I'm going to go wins against UNC and Syracuse, losses against Pitt and SMU. That's my first bold prediction. The second bold prediction kind of locks into what we were just talking about with these 2 wins. I think I kind of buried the lead here. Probably should have waited the last one for how many wins I think they're going to get. But I'm going to start off strong and go with some other things. I think, first of all, bold prediction is we're going to find out next week that nothing changed in terms of staffing. I think that's just a quick one. I don't think Bill O'Brien would fire anyone in the middle of the season. I just don't see it at Boston College. And it would just cause more issues, I think, to do something like that. Would I be surprised if he fired Matt Turn? No, but I just don't think he's going to do it. Would I be surprised if he took over the play calling? That's a better possibility, but I still think he's going to. his relationship with Will Long right now, I think he wants to give him the benefit of the doubt as long as he can. I think, they're so close. They've been together for 12 years. I think Long's going to get another chance. So I don't expect big changes in the staffing. That's another prediction for me. I do, however, think that there will be changes in how this offense runs. As I've seen with BC, the inability to move the ball, other than, as he even says, on gadget plays, they haven't really been able to move the ball effectively. The one thing that BC has done at times in the last 2 weeks, since the last bye week, is run Tommy Castellanos more effectively at times. He had 70 plus yards against Virginia Tech. He ran the ball at times against Louisville. He just, near the end, he was trying to pass too much, just wasn't working. And when he ran, they were just waiting on him. I think they're going to figure out a way to get him going again. And that is going to show against Syracuse. I think, you now have 8 games on tape. This is not just a small sample size. This is, what he can do and what he can't do. Yes, his touchdowns to interception ratio is great this year. You can't deny that. Like, he's not making stupid decisions throwing the ball. He's made dumb decisions with, making some fumbles, but the bad passes have not been there for Boston, for BC in terms of like turning it over. He hasn't been the most accurate, but he hasn't been giving the ball to the opposition as much as you'd want. I mean, as much as you'd expect from last year, excuse me. So I am thinking, this is a bold prediction in terms of how I think this offense is going to run, that they're going to have to quicken things up for him. I think you're going to see more of him making quicker reads, making, boom, go, because he's got to. I think if you're watching those tapes and you're watching the difficulty, that the wide receivers have in getting open, which Mitch Wolf has talked about from Eagle Insider, and B, that the offensive line starts to fall apart as the longer they have to wait, and then C, that makes Tommy Castellanos a poorer runner. A good coach is going to see that and go, we got to get him out of the pocket faster. Now, that's kind of counterintuitive to what they did that they've been drilling into him. Like, I think it seems to me one of the big factors that they wanted with TC this year was to make him stand in the pocket and try to make reads. That's not working. It's just not. And there's going to be plays where you can do that, but you need to do more bootlegs. You need to do more just quick reads because he cannot stay in that pocket that much longer. It is what's killing his running. And I expect that Bill O'Brien and Will Long are smart enough coaches to see that and make those adjustments because, the offense is not clicking, and it's not it could be an execution thing if you're saying that the wide receivers can't get open, but it's just no matter what they're fiddling with, it's just not working. So I think the littlest thing that they need to fiddle with is the time clock in his head. Like, now that the wide receivers are going to struggle. You can't wait for them to get open. They're either open or they're not. Go. That's basically what's got to go in Tommy's head. And I think that's what they're going to work on because they need to be able to get that ball moving more. And having him make a quick read and go, I think will keep them moving the ball. So I'm expecting more of that. I think that's another bold prediction I am going to make for today's show. Now, in our second segment, I'm going to look at some bold predictions I'm going to make on players and special teams. I'll get into all of that in just a moment. Our friends over at 5 Hour Energy know that being a passionate football fan isn't just a hobby, it's a way of life. It takes a lot of energy to power through all-day tailgates, touchdown celebrations, or an agonizing late-game loss, which is why they've created the Stan the Fan 5-Hour Energy Shot with a special flavor called Fan Fuel. The energy shot made just for super fans like you, the fans who are first in the parking lot and who are last to leave. We see you. So, you got a big game coming up on Saturday next week against Syracuse. Rivalry game, big home matchup. you need to get yourself ready. You need to check out the 5-Hour Energy Stand the Fan shot. 5-Hour Energy knows that no matter what team you root for, being a fan requires heart, soul, and a whole lot of energy. Whether you're prepping for the big tailgate or ironing your jersey, your game day to-do list is always a mile long. That's why the limited edition Stand the Fan 5-Hour Energy shot is here to keep you fueled through the season. And what is your fan fuel this week? It's got to be 5-Hour Energy. Available on 5hourenergy.com. Shipped nationwide. This is Locked On Boston College. I'm your host, AJ Black, and we are talking about 5-Hour Energy. We're talking about Boston College, and we're giving some bold predictions. I'm giving you some of my bold predictions for this upcoming season, upcoming end of the year. I already said they're going to go 2-2. Most exciting end, nah. But if you beat Syracuse to make a bowl, that sounds pretty good, right? I also said I expect them to adjust the offense to work more towards what Tommy Castellanos can and can't do. I think that's another one. I also think that the offense is another prediction. I expect Turbo Richard to be back from what I've heard. I think he's going to probably be back soon. So that's a good thing. And if he is back, I think the offense needs to flow through him more. I think he needs to be the vital cog of this offense, not Tommy. I think it needs to be Turbo. Because I think if you lean on Turbo with a healthy dose of Kai and Trayshawn in different situations, you're going to be able to move the ball back more. Because this offense, it works much more effectively if you notice through him, and not having him against Louisville was tough. So I think a bold prediction I'm going to have is that Turbo is going to be the MVP of this offense for these final 4 games, and his play is going to dictate the pace of this offense and keep them moving at a different pace. So I think that's going to be a major piece here. Hopefully he's healthy. Hopefully they get him back for the Syracuse game. And we'll find out from Bill O'Brien on Tuesday if he's back and what the situation is with that. But hopefully if again, that hear that word a lot right now, right? Hopefully Turbo is back. And then they can use him as kind of their go-to because he's the most explosive running back they have. And Trayshawn can do some things in the passing game, obviously, but you need a guy that can rip off some explosive runs. Kai can't do that. I don't think Trayshawn's the best fit for that in terms of running. Turbo is. Turbo's a guy they can do. So I think he's going to be the biggest factor of that offense. Defensively, a prediction I'm going to have is that secondary is going to continue to make big plays. BC is playing 3 teams that I feel could make some mistakes late in this season. We watched Kyle McCord, right? Kyle McCord had 6 interceptions against Pitt, and while I don't expect Kyle to have a game like that again, I mean he's not that bad. I do expect that he could still make mistakes, and those mistakes are going to help BC out. I also look at what Kevin Jennings did. Kevin Jennings, I think they had 4 turnovers against, I forget who they played last week. Duke. They played Duke, and that almost lost them the game. And that in itself was almost a loss for SMU. I think you're going to see some turnovers there. Now, Colby Criswell, the quarterback for UNC, he's only thrown 3 interceptions, and Eli Holstein, who I everyone loves right now, he's not much of a mistake. He does not make a ton of mistakes either. He has 5 interceptions on the season, so he's not that kind of quarterback. But this secondary, while they're gonna give up plays, they're gonna, you're playing against SMU, who's fast. They're a fast team, and at Syracuse, they've been able to move the ball. They got some good playmakers. The BC secondary has some playmakers themselves that have made some plays, and whether that's Omar Thornton, KP Price, even Max Tucker, I expect that defense to continue to be opportunistic. It's just the way that Tim Lewis is masking some of the deficiencies that they have. And they have deficiencies, right? Like they can't get a pass rush, but they've been able to mask that with their ability to make turnovers. I think that's just going to keep continuing. And it goes back to my 2 wins. If BC can prevent the turnovers and make the turnovers, those are going to lead to more wins. And yes, the Louisville game, they did not turn the ball over, but I have beaten this dead horse hard enough. The special teams, those punts are turnovers. They are absolutely turnovers. When you're punting the ball 22 yards, 30 yards, those are turnovers. The expected points that you're going to give up off crap like that, that's turnover. So they got to, as long as they can continue to make those big plays, they're going to be in better shape. And Tommy showed on against Louisville, he picked up whatever it was that they need to do to stop fumbling the ball. So I think that could be a big key in a bold prediction in terms of getting some wins. Special teams. My bold prediction is nothing's going to change. I don't expect them to punt the ball 22 yards like they did against Louisville, but I still expect that we're going to have shanks. I still expect that field goals are probably going to not be an option because they just haven't been able to do it. And I expect that whatever is going on with kick returns is not going to get any better. Whether you're going to have, you got Shake. Here, let AJ rant for a second here. You have Shake McGowan, one of the best kick returners in the SEC last year, and he's back there fair catching everything. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I get it. You're probably more likely to get a hold there, but BC's got to get some explosiveness, and I just don't see that changing. I think that's going to be one of those stubborn moments where you're watching him and Jonathan Montague again, kick returning, and punt returning. I don't expect special teams to get better. That being said, I don't think it's going to be to the point where they lose games. I think it'll just be bad. So maybe that's improvement. It's gone from a disaster to bad. I guess. So that's another piece. And so those are my bowl predictions. Those are what I'm thinking. So bowling, I think they're going to make a bowl. I think the offense is going to get better. I think they're going to make some turnovers, and I don't think the secondary is going to get much better. The special teams are going to get much better. If I was to think of a player that is going to blossom the second half, I don't know what Jaden Skeet's injury is because he got hurt too, but I'm going to put him down as a guy I'm going to watch. Of any wide receiver this season, he seems to be the most consistent. Lewis Bond, I don't know what's going on there. He's regressed. He has not had a good season. Jaden Skeet, when healthy, has been one of their best wideouts. So I think he should be the guy that probably steps up there. On the defensive side of the ball, if I'm going to look for a guy that's going to step up, a guy that's going to have a big second half of the season, give me Davion Crouch. He's been a starter now for 8 games. He's had his plays. He's had his struggles. This is his moment, especially if Cam comes back, Cam Arnold, if he's healthy. I think Davion Crouch could have some big plays. He's a big hitter. I think that's a guy I'm going to watch for. Now, in my final segment here, I'm going to open up my Eagles Nest subtext program. I asked you guys to give me some of your predictions for the final 4 games. I want to go over what you said and give you my reactions because you had some crazy stuff to say. I want to talk about it. Let's get into it in just a moment. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can get $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. I was watching a game the other day, and I had not done anything on FanDuel for it. But when I saw one team just look so good coming out of the gate, I got in and got some live action. The spread I just changed a little bit because they're always updating the spread, but I felt it was pretty good. And this team just went on and smoked the other one. So you can do that too. When you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. This is Locked On Boston College. AJ Black here, and we are wrapping things up, and I'm opening up your subtext. So if you've joined Eagle Insiders, my Eagles Nest subtext program, that's a special edition for insiders here on the Locked On Boston College podcast, where people talk to me. I just sent a 20-minute special video of questions and answers that the Eagles Nest insider sent me. I had probably 15 questions. I answered specifically only for them. So if you want to join, check it out. Use the promo sign up is going to be in the show notes after this goes live. The promo code is Bill O'Brien Monster, which I know you guys are going to giggle at now. And you can I'll send you just ping me on it because you can send it directly to me, and I'll send you that video so you can check it out. You get it free for a month. There's no obligation past that. You can cancel anytime. Just check it out. It's a good way to support the podcast. Now, all right, let's go to some of our comments. So area code 518 says his prediction is that we beat SMU in Dallas. That goes back to one of the things I was saying is that if you're going to beat SMU, you're going to have to cause turnovers. That team is fast. Probably the fastest team you played all year. I worry that defense is going to get exposed. They've done a nice job. I got to give credit to the Mustangs. For their first year in the ACC, they look very good. And this weekend's game against Pitt, I cannot wait to watch. I think that's going to give us a good glimpse of which team is real and which team is frauds. I think SMU might be even more real than Pitt. That's kind of my opinion right now, but I'm curious to see how the two of them kind of face off. So that'll be something I will be watching for, but thank you. 6-6 with a middling bowl. I mean, yes, that's what I predicted. I get the frustration. If you end up at the Military Bowl, you end up, wherever. You started the season off strong. You were hoping for something better. You saw the bowl projections about 4 weeks ago, and you're like, oh, we could play, in the Pop-Tart Bowl against a good school or play against Oklahoma in this or whatever. And it's not that way. Things have we're regressing to the mean here. And yes, the odds that you're going to play in a bowl that it's not exciting to you is real. But I also caution you on this. BC was projected to win 4.5 games by Vegas this year. If they hit 6 wins and can make a bowl, that's progress. And I know it stinks because you're not going to care about the bowl, but it's still progress there. So check that out. All right. My bowl. Oh, hey, we got a big one here. My bowl prediction is that BC will beat Pitt. I live an hour from Pittsburgh, go to school at Pittsburgh at Jonestown, and I'm tired of hearing these Pitt fans. These remaining games for BC are all must-win type of games. I think BC comes out of the bye hungry and ready to go. I think they could be trending up at the right time heading into that game against Pitt. A bad Pitt team beat us last year. It's time for us to ruin their year this time around. I think the biggest key to that game is keeping Tommy protected. Pitt has a good pass rush. We need to be able to sustain drives and hang around. Defensively, have to get Holstein uncomfortable early. Cannot allow him to sit and scan the field. Also have to contain Desmond Reed in both the pass and rush game. Overall, I can see this being a slip-up game for Pitt as they have to ship up to Boston on the weekend of Thanksgiving. The one part about that I think is interesting too is BC Alumni Stadium has this the vibes check during Thanksgiving weekends is bad because all the students are gone. They're all home. So it's going to be quiet and awkwardly quiet. And that can also cause weird things to happen. I'm not on board that I think BC can beat Pitt. If you remember last year, the Pitt, even though they were really bad, their pass rush just killed Tommy. He couldn't do anything. This defense is better, and their offense is better. So that's gonna be a tough one. I still think that's probably the least likely game. I'm gonna put that on my list as the least likely game that BC can win. All right, back to someone who thinks we could beat SMU from 413. I think we beat SMU. Look at the results: 5-point win over Nevada, lost to BYU, lost to Louisville by more than we did, only beat Duke by 1. They aren't the team their rankings implies. I think that's the case for 3 out of the 4 teams that's coming up for BC. I think that's a great point, 413. I'm not, as I've said a million times, I'm not sold that Syracuse is as good as people think they are. I'm also not sold Pitt's as good as they think they are. And I'm not really sure what SMU is. I just think UNC stinks, but that's my opinion on that. Right. So I think this is going to be a lot of gut checks for these teams that BC's playing. Are they real or are they not real? Some of these teams that they're the schedule that they're playing, I was like, I think was it Syracuse? I think I was looking at it and I was going, man, if BC could play the schedule that they just played, BC would be 7-1 because Syracuse has played Ohio, Georgia Tech, Stanford, Holy Cross, UNLV, NC State, who stinks, and Pitt. I 5-2, 5-2. I think would be fair with that schedule. I just don't. I mean, they haven't played anybody. You look at Pitt. Pitt has played a little bit. Pitt's played better, and then as the Eagles Nesser said, you look at SMU, and they have beaten Nevada by 5. They beat Houston Christian, who I don't know who that is. They lost to Brigham Young. They put 66 on TCU, who's going to fire their head coach. Florida State stinks. They beat them. They beat Louisville by 7. They smoked Stanford, who stinks, and then they barely beat Duke, who I'm also not sure what they are. We don't know what they are yet. So there's a lot of this going on. So I think that's a great thought. And I'm really curious. All right, another longer one. Throughout the season, the offense has struggled and the defense has been there to pick up the slack, so to speak. But I'm sensing a 180. I think the offense will start to pick things up, and Thomas Castellanos will start to make those electric Thomas Castellano plays, and the offense will come together. But the defense is going to go downhill and let up a ton of points. That's my predictions for the season. But if you want one more, I will say Tommy will throw for 200 and run for 100 against Syracuse this weekend. I mean, the first part, could see that happening. I honestly, at this point, I would give it. I mean, it'd be much more exciting to watch the offense score a whole bunch of points, but I'm not sure. And 200 and 100 against Syracuse, that would be the Tommy Castellanos redemption game right there. Like, that would be his big moment, right? So good thoughts. Thank you so much for sending those my way. And then our final one, the positive. Actually, this is a positive and a negative. First, the negative. Boston College will go 0-4 to end the season with TC getting benched for the final 2 games. I shudder at that prediction. The positive, Donovan Azaraku will be a top 3 finalist for Defensive Player of the Year and will win the Ted Hendricks Award. I don't even know what the Ted Hendricks Award is. I'm going to look it up. Ted Hendricks, top defensive end. Excuse me. It's been a while since BC's had a really good defensive end, so I'm like used to all the defensive awards going for like Luke Kuechly. So maybe I don't think he'll win that. I think we just saw Antoine Paul Ryland probably give a better case for that. I also don't think Tommy will get benched, but I mean, who knows? And I shudder. I don't think Grayson James is going to be the answer this year. Maybe he will eventually. I just don't think he's going to be a better fit than what Tommy's doing. But so a lot of positives, some negatives. That's what you guys get. If you want to become an Eagle Insider, I send videos. I chat with you guys. I take Q&As. I take thoughts and put them on the show from you. Come join us. Remember, the code is Bill O'Brien Monster. I hope you guys sign up. And when you're done with this, check out Locked On ACC on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. They got some great ACC content if you want to learn more about some of the other teams that we're talking about here. My name's AJ. We'll be back on Monday with Mitch Wolf to talk about Syracuse and get ready for the home stretch. We're 4 weeks away from the end of the season, and things are going to get crazy. We're also going to talk about basketball. Basketball tips off on Monday against the Citadel. We're going to have a busy couple shows coming up. Thank you all for listening. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247. And thank you all, and I'll see you again soon. Take care, everyone.